I got asked to make a video about Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. If I was to start at the beginning, that fight was promoted as well as any fight in recent memory. It wasn't the biggest names. So I am sharing with you that, this wasn't a matter of getting the Jim Rohns and the Dan Le Batards and whatnot organically speaking about it, but for what a executive producer that like to call themselves promoter, for what they could do, they did great. They really did. And it bothered me to a degree. People don't understand body shots. I don't fault people for that. Most people will never be hit in the body. Most people will never put themselves in a position to be hit in the body. I fought 51 men over 22 years. I never got hit in the body to where it hurt and I had to go down and had to stop, but I've heard about it from people that have. And I offer you that it's never happened to me as a way, I'm not condescending to you when I tell you that you haven't experienced it. It's a very uncommon thing. Very uncommon that you're going to be somewhere where that's going to happen. Those shots hurt so badly, but people don't understand it. To the point that people have said that he quit, that he took a dive, that he didn't have the heart, that it was scripted like pro wrestling. We've been hearing more and more about that. I mean, I went a good 25 years without ever hearing in boxing that somebody took a dive or it was scripted and now I can't see a boxing fight where that topic in conspiracy doesn't live. So just to start with how rare that is and how difficult it is to get up. Now, hold on, because Ryan Garcia was hurt. And I don't mean physically, I mean emotionally. He wanted to win. He thought he was going to win. He was hurt. He was embarrassed. That was very legitimate. He was being a real man about it. He was paying his respects. He showed up to the appropriate interviews. He dealt with the commission appropriately. He did the things that you need to do. And there are things that you need to do in defeat. There's still a procedure. There's procedure to the integrity of sport. There's also a protocol. Somebody is going to have a glorious night. Somebody's going to have something that dreams are made of. It's going to be you or it's going to be your opponent. But you do not have the right to take away from his moment if you didn't get the desired outcome. It's tough. What I'm saying is tough to do. But Garcia did it. He showed a real maturity. Garcia made a comment, said he's going to move up in weight. That whatever he does next is going to be a big fight. I agree. He's a very handsome guy. He's a very young guy. Nothing bad happened over the weekend. Right? Nothing bad comes from being in a hyped up fight that pays millions of dollars and puts you in a main event that a whole bunch of people watched. Nothing. So, store that away. They had a rehydration clause. And frankly, I don't know where I stand on this with the commission. The commission is to oversee fights and has a way to do that. There are a couple of jurisdictions where you've got to weigh in on the day of the fight. This wasn't one. This was a different agreement that they made. Now, it was a legal agreement. It was a binding agreement. They both signed. It was a contract. But there are things that you can't do that if the commission hears about, they will step in and stop you from doing. If it's a 12-round fight, you guys don't get to have a contract that you stop after 9 rounds. If it's 3-minute rounds with a 1-minute rest, you guys don't get to decide that you're going to go 2 minutes and then rest for 2 minutes. I mean, there's things you don't have a choice to do. If it's a boxing match, you don't get to decide we're also going to kick. That might be a better example. The commission would step in and say, no, you're not. And if you try to say, well, I have a contract, and yes, we are, and we both agreed to it, they're going to say, no, you don't. And when I hear about these rehydration clauses, when I hear about anything that becomes a rule that is outside of the scope of the commission, I do wonder at times if this was ever to be tested. Quite frankly, I haven't formed my own opinion on it. It would have to be tested. But if it was tested, why are the commissions allowing them to do it? And do they have the authority? I would be curious. It's a very chicken you-know-what thing to do. When you're going into combat, which has extremely few rules, you know them and he knows them, and you make it to the highest points and they're going to pay you millions of dollars. If you come in with something that changes the already determined rules, there is no sport on earth in a free society Under dictatorships, this isn't true, but in a free society, there is no sport that is regulated by government. You only see that in communist regimes, except for fighting. The government in a free country oversees it. When you find somebody that comes in and changes those rules, legally bearing or not, that is a chicken, terrible thing to do. Tank's a tough guy. He did a good job. That was a cowardly move that he did, changing the rules. It just was. Now, Ryan has come out and said, I didn't feel that good on fight night and the dehydration. You're just going to have to live with those things, right? Nobody feels good on fight night. Had he won the fight, he wouldn't be saying, I didn't feel good. Oh, man, it's great. Rehydration was no problem. Right? It's one of those things. And Ryan would admit as much to you guys. I certainly don't want to give him a hard time. I was rather impressed with him. Come out. He's talking about there's a mole in camp. And a number of guys have done that. I could tell you some MMA stories where guys have done that. Like, I got a mole in camp. For some guys, that's really going to matter. And maybe I'm personalizing here. I couldn't give a goddamn less. I have fought guys where they will come in to film you, to make some of the hype shows, make some of the marketing and what we know is embeddeds and countdowns and whatnot. And my opponent won't spar on the days that they come in. I mean, that has happened to me more times than it hasn't happened to me. I will do a full workout and you can film the whole thing. I will do a full workout, you can do the whole thing, and you can bring him in to watch. I will do a full workout, you can film the whole thing, bring him in to watch, put him on the mat, and I'll spar with him. Now, that's just a mindset issue, but I make a fair point. I don't care if the opponent knows what I'm going to do. I haven't changed what I'm going to do, or what I even have the ability to change and do since I was roughly 14 years old. Now, there's going to be a couple of wrinkles where that doesn't become an absolute. I'm always open to the idea of learning and changing, but it is ever so slight. There could be a tweak and possibly two each year of fighting, and no more than that on a very literal basis. And if that got in Ryan's head, he's got someone there, somebody couldn't trust, somebody that was feeding Tank, there is a very real psychological effect to that. There's not a physiological one. And I don't need your opinion. I'm telling you as it is. And I could go back and take that fight from Saturday. I could show you every offensive technique that Garcia did, right? You only got 4 moves in boxing. You got a jab, a cross, an uppercut, and a hook. You got a left hand and right hand. You can go to the torso, the chest, and the head, right? I mean, this isn't rocket science, but I will share with you, he did not do a single thing that includes head movement, that includes hand placement, that includes combinations, and that includes footwork. Not a single thing that I haven't seen him do in previous fights. So that's where the problem comes with having a mole. An inside guy, a guy that was watching me, a guy that let my secrets out. If you were out there and you did something brand new that we had never seen before, in some mysterious way the opponent was ready for it, I think we'd have to listen to this mole business. When you go out there, you don't get your desired result, but you didn't do a single technique that was new or unusual, at some point, tip your hat to the lady in the rose of San Antonio.